welcome back to another review. This is for My Hero Academia. Going into it, I didn't have that much expectations for it because I'm not a big anime fan, or haven't really watched it, so I haven't been able to actually judge it based on face value. I've only been able to judge it off of what other people say about it, and everyone's like, "I love it." It's like the greatest type of storytelling and whatnot, and I can see why. I'm not saying I don't. Me personally, the reason I don't really like it is the animated style. I prefer 3D rather than 2D. I get the appeal of 2D. You get a little bit more, I guess, epicness to what is being shown rather than just realistic stuff, which is what I prefer. I like realism and my as far as what's going on and what the characters are able to do, and the way like not everything has to be ramped up to 10. Like if there's like in the most recent season of season 4 in the most recent arc, whenever Todoroki and Kachan were going and trying to get their license or whatever, Kachan was just saying walk behind me, but it had like this epic feel to it, like the red background and stuff like that. That stuff I don't really care for personally, but I can see the appeal of it. So getting into a little bit of the nuance of the show, the themes are, since this show is more for what is regarded as middle grade, which is the ages of 7 to 12-year-old kids, it's important for them to understand and learn from, and it's easier to learn through, like TV shows and movies, this type of stuff, that that they are their own person, regardless of who they're related to, who they're around. You got to make sure that if you inherited something, whether it's astigmatism or like ADHD or something, like that's not that's not who you are just because you inherited that or you have that. The biggest thing that this happened was the tournament in season 2, I believe, whenever it was Todoroki versus Deku, and he was literally saying that's your power, that's not your father's, that is yours. That's literally just telling the audience, hey, regardless of what your family has done, whether they've gone to prison, whether they're millionaires, whether they are in whatever thing of it or of what your family is, it is you is who is in control of your life and what you want to do. And that is a very important lesson that even adults and grown old people can still learn and still need to understand, is just because your family is one way does not mean that you have to be that exact same way. Another reason I don't really like the 2D animated style, or not necessarily that, but anime in general, is it appeals a little bit too much to the male fantasies. I should have pointed this out earlier in the video, but it's what I'm going with now. Whether it's, there's not really, like, obviously you have, like, these big, over-the-top personalities and looks of superheroes, overly buff, you got those Goku-looking people, and then you have the females characters that are, they have like the tight waist and the robust, parts. I'm not gonna say them. You know what I'm talking about. They have these robust parts, and it's literally just I don't know. Like, it's a weird thing because I get why they do it, and I'm not saying I'm knocking this. Like, this is just a personal preference. It's just I don't really care. Like, I want realism. I don't want some chick that has, a nothing waist and everything else is just huge. I don't want like that Jessica Rabbit type of character. I want somebody that's real and grounded. And going into this and segueing into another point is, I think his name is Minerva, grape, the little grape dude that has like the balls on his head. That is a very important character to the show. Whether you like it or you don't like it, that is a very important character because it's, like he said, this is a middle grade type show for 7 to 13-year-olds. These that age range is discovering what they like, what they don't like, their sexuality, all this other stuff. So they're starting to discover it. So they see this character of Minerva, I believe, and he is again a stereotypical male, obviously drooling over every female that he sees. He's always wanting to peek at them in the showers and stuff, and it's showing that the repercussions and what that looks like from the other side, or what the people looking at him doing. They get so irritated by him, and it's very, very important thing to have as representation. You might not care for that in your storytelling, but it's something these kids need to understand, and that just because you like something and just because you are eager to see it, it is not okay to push it and constantly beg for it. Essentially, like, you have to understand that these are people too, and you can't just force your will and your words and what you want these people to do for you and constantly be like this perverted type of person. You have to respect their boundaries and respect them as a person. And I think that in later seasons, I think he's going to start calming down, probably. He's going to see that his error of his ways kind of thing, and it is what it is. Going into a little bit more into characters, the way it started out, Deku was kind of a bitch. I'm sorry, like, I'm sorry for the language, but he kind of was to start out. Like, why are you constantly crying? But again, I understand. Again, like, I'm saying, why are you crying? But then I'm also saying I understand why he's crying, because he doesn't have a quirk at this point. Whenever he meets All Might, and he's now into this world and he's trying to become his own, so he's just overly emotional, and he's going into high school. And again, that's an overly emotional time period for a person, that they have all these emotions, they don't know how to like express it. So it's not necessarily tears of sadness, it's tears of joy and genuality, I guess is not a word, but it's what I'm going to use. So it's like he's kind of a bitch, and he's kind of growing up, and I see that growth from the first season where every little thing would set him off and crying, to where now he's meeting with Eri, and he's not crying over being her hero. He's literally just acting and being a hero, and he's around other people, and he's like, he gets those setbacks and he's not crying over it anymore. He's learned to, not everything's the end of the world kind of thing. Like you see in the growth, which is a very important, I say it a lot, but this show has very important qualities and lessons and themes and all this tones and everything that needs to happen in a show that for that that age range, and even for adults that watch it, because obviously anime's for everyone at this point. So it is a very important thing to see growth and character development, which is why my favorite character probably would be Todoroki and Kacchan. It's a slow build for him. Originally, I thought he was gonna, join the League of Villains and, actually go down that way, but he has like such a strong resolve, and that's something I admire in him, is that he wants to be the best, not because, well, kind of just because, I guess, is he wants to be the best because obviously he looked up to All Might just like almost every other student did, and I don't know what to say. I kind of explain it, but he wants it because he has the ability to be it. So it's literally just like, I have this ability. It's a great ability. This is a great quirk. I am going to do it. He's literally just gung-ho for it, and nobody else is going to hold him back. But that's why Todoroki on the other side is a very interesting character, because if you've played the Dynasty Warriors games, he's kind of like Suma Yi, and he's just calm, cool, and collected and calculating, and he understands that just because he has two really awesome quirks of fire and ice, I don't have to use them at all times. I can show restraint, and it's like I don't have to fight if I don't need to, and that's something I really enjoy. Plus, his look is just phenomenal. I love the two-toned, the white and the red. It's an awesome combination. So last, I'm going to end on, well, actually two more things. I forgot this other point was, I haven't read forums. I haven't read any type of seen reviews for this. All I've got is a couple of people that really enjoy this show. Somebody that hasn't necessarily finished season 4 or watched season 4, but he really enjoys it. I had then my brother who really enjoys it. So I haven't really seen, if there's any hate for it. But the final storyline with the festival that they've had recently, it was a little bit mundane, and I can almost guarantee that some people somewhere are hating on that storyline because they don't understand the necessity for it at that point. You have the big show out of trying to rescue Eri and disrupt, I'm not going to mispronounce that name and disrespect the Japanese culture, but you know who I'm talking about if you've seen the show. And now they have to breathe for a second. And while it sucks that you don't have those big, hulking out fights, it's not every show that's like this needs to have that at every point. You have to let the characters breathe and relax and have like a minor fight with, the gentle thief, as I believe his name was, a gentle robber or something like that. And you have that, obviously, that fight with Deku, but you have this kind of celebration that they know that they've done something very important with rescuing Eri, and it's not just because of them, it's because the entire heroes came together, had this strong, really strong plan, and then one person unfortunately dies, which was Night Eye. Unfortunately, I love that dude. And it's just them trying to deal and collect themselves, which is a necessary thing. So if you don't like that storyline, go back and rewatch it with trying to understand why it's a necessity to the show at this point. We've got all these things that have been building and building and building. You have to take that second to, okay, we're here. Now let's go again. You have to take that calm, cool, and collected. So I'm going to lastly leave it on my predictions for upcoming seasons. Again, I haven't seen trailers. I haven't even seen the movie, so I'll try to do a review on that later whenever I get to see it. But I predict that they're setting up with Night Eye saying that the future can change. So All Might's not gonna die. Like, they're trying to set that up so well that he is not gonna die. I think he is. And I don't think it's going to be that gruesome. I think that's what's going to change, is how gruesome that death is going to be. But I do think he's going to die eventually. It's going to suck and it's going to hurt all those fans that have invested years and time and emotion into the show. It's going to hurt big time when he does die. But I feel it's necessary for Deku, because he's kind of relying on, okay, he learned from Gran Torino, he learned from Night Eye, he's learning from Eraserhead, another great character. I love Eraserhead. And now he's got All Might actually in his corner, so he's got like all these things. So he's got crutches. If you really want to be the best, which is what this season or the show was set up as, is this is my journey to being the number one hero, you gotta have All Might die. He has to have that launching point of, okay, I am alone. Not necessarily alone, but I don't have anybody that understands this power, except for obviously Kacchan, who just learned that Deku got his power from All Might. So he's going to have that push from Kacchan to become better and be better and constantly improve and improve and improve. Not just because that's his drive, but that's because that's where he needs to get to, and he's not going to have All Might by his side anymore. It's just going to be him. And so it's an important thing for him to die. And I do believe that it's going to be between Shigaraki. Shigaraki is the League of Villains head. I think it's going to be because of him, probably. And it's not going to be because of anything All Might does, but it's because of what Deku does. Deku's going to fight him. That's a given. The big bad versus the big good, or building to the big good, has to happen in these type of shows. Obviously, I don't know anime, so it could be different in anime. But it almost always has to happen. You have to have the big bad versus the big good. So I think they're going to get into a fight, and All Might's going to see Deku's about to die. So he's going to sacrifice himself for Deku, and then Deku's going to either apprehend or take out Shigaraki. And then that's going to be his launching point. Okay, I've taken out the big bad, but I've lost my big good. And then now that's probably how one of the seasons is going to end. Probably not the next season, but the season after that, season 6 maybe. So that's probably where I'm seeing this show building to. Leave your comments in below about what your predictions for the future is. If there's anything I missed, if there's anything I didn't touch on that you wish I did, let me know in the comment sections below. Take care.